right, we are making mistakes so you don't have to.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel. If you're new to our channel, I'm Steve. My wife Jackie is a travel nurse, and we travel full-time in our fifth wheel toy hauler with our two kids, Camden and Amelia, and our two dogs, Carmen and Lola. So today's video is going to be a how-to video on how we converted our garage floor in our toy hauler to a vinyl tile floor. So for our project, we used vinyl plank flooring from Home Depot. We also used dry core panels from Home Depot. So for those of you who don't know what a dry core panel is, it is a 2-foot by 2-foot section that has plywood on the top, and then glued to the bottom of the plywood is about a 1/2-inch section of foam insulation. So it will serve two purposes, one being obviously insulation. Our toy hauler does not have an insulated garage floor. Some of them do, but ours does not. And it will provide a nice base for the vinyl plank flooring to sit on. We posted pictures on our Instagram, and we get a ton of questions on the process of how we did it. So luckily, we recorded the process. Now, we did this originally in Texas. We are now in Washington. As you can tell by these trees, we are no longer in Texas. So we are not professionals. Take our advice for what it's worth. Make sure you watch till the end, because we definitely made a big mistake and ended up having to tear some of it back out and redoing it. So make sure you watch till the end so you don't make this mistake. We originally got a fifth wheel toy hauler for two main reasons. One, we wanted the garage for our kids. It's a giant room for our kids. We can close the door, they can play back there, we can have our time watching TV, whatever, in our section of the RV. The second reason being, we plan to haul Jackie's car in the back of our toy hauler in between travel assignments, which we did from Ohio to Texas, but we quickly found out that it's just so much more work, so much more stress. I mean, you're hauling our car was 2,200 pounds in the back of our RV, so you want to make sure the straps are tight. You have to make multiple stops along the way to make sure they're still tight. It also adds so much more time once you get to the campground that you're staying at, because you have to unload it. You have to find a spot level enough to where you can unload it. It also adds time when you're trying to leave early in the morning. You have to load the car, which loading and unloading the car ended up being like at least a half-hour to 45-minute process. So it just wasn't practical. So we quickly nixed that idea. Now we'll show you the process. So let's go. On these toy haulers, they have this dovetail where it slants down back here to make it obviously easier to load your toys up in here. So we need to level this off so it's not slanted, so it's just level. And then we'll probably have the floor stop a little bit before these doors, so we still have room to put the panels up and down, because the latches are down here. So that's what I'm going to work on today. My plan is to make, I don't know, maybe 8 or so. So one every foot, 8 wedges in here to make this to where I could just flatten it out and then put like plywood on top. That way I can just set the subfloor on top of the plywood back here, so it's all level. This is that panel I was talking about. We've got a Home Depot. It's called Dry Core. It's like, at the time when we got it, it was $7.03 a panel. And we got 26 total panels for ours. But I mean, it's surprisingly light. I mean, maybe I was surprised when I picked it up to put it in the truck. I mean, I would guess, I don't know, maybe a couple pounds, maybe. Like I said, it has the foam insulation on the bottom, maybe a 1/2 inch or so. And then it's on top of like a little 1/2 inch piece of plywood. As you can see there's the insulation, plywood. They have a tongue and groove, so they lock together. So there it is. Here is my idea to see about how big of wedges I need to cut. As I said, I am not an expert carpenter. I'm a mechanic, so this is just going to give me kind of a rough idea of how big of an angle to cut for the wedges. Obviously, this isn't going to be perfectly flat because this diamond plate right here is a little bit raised, but I really don't want to have to take that up. So I'm just going to measure and see about how tall the wedge needs to be at that end. Of course, I need 3 or 4 hands would be nice. So I want to keep it I don't know, inch or 2 away from the door, so I have room to get to the latches down here for the glass, like I said. So let's see. About 4.5 inches. Of course, then I have to equate for the thickness of the board that's going to lay on top of this, so this lays flat. So it's about 4.5 inches down there. So maybe 4 inches or so. Like I said, this is going to be a rough estimate. I'll probably cut a wedge first and then see how it fits back here and then use that as my template. But this is kind of my idea of a starting point anyway. So my thinking, according to our measurement in there, it was what, 4.5 inches? So, and the thickness of the board that's going on top of it is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go 4 inches, and I don't have anything to write with. All right, got my pencil. So I'm going to mark it 4 inches. And then the length of the slope I need is 14 inches. So we'll mark 14 inches down here. And, you know, get my official straight edge. Not really, but it's going to be close enough. So I'm going to draw a line from each one, from one to the other. Go from there, see how it fits. Stay tuned. I forgot to mention, I'm just using some extra 2x10 that we had cut to level the camper. We don't use it, so I cut it up and get it out of the bed of the truck. So it needs cleaned up a little bit. That's all right, we can do that. So there goes nothing. There we go. Let's see how it fits. It's my first time using that saw. A new 2-bat, I guess, for a battery-powered saw. It's a little cheap one. All right, let's go see.
5 minutes later.
So it turns out I need to cut this board that's going to lay across the top first. That way I get the wedge, at least probably 2 wedges cut, and I can just lay it across the top. Make sure everything's level. So I'm going to cut this board for our camper anyway. It may be different for yours. 14 inches across is about what I came up with. And it's going to be covered up anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, figure out a place to put this so I can cut it. Stay tuned. I ended up just cutting another wedge. I just used the same method I did before. Measured 4 inches and then 14 inches, drew a line and cut it. So here's what we got. Maybe it makes more sense if it didn't make sense to you at first. Then I'm going to lay this board on top like this. And then, like I said, I'll have probably, I don't know, one every foot. I don't know that we need that many. Nope, there's not going to be too many people walking. I mean, not that often back here. So it's not going to be real high traffic unless we have the patio down. But my plan, I mean, I think it's going to be okay. It's hard to let measure to see if it's level. Because like I said, this diamond plate's raised right here. But, I mean, it seems pretty close. Like I said, it's hard to tell from, because this is raised, but I think it'll work. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. I'll probably put the edge that I cut on the inside, because I plan to finish, or at least put a board on the back of this so it's not open underneath. So at least that way this straighter edge will be on the outside, so I can put a board back there. But so I think, obviously I need a few more wedges, but I think that might work. So at this point, I got everything kind of mocked up back there. I got a couple of the wedges cut, laid the panels on top, make sure everything's good. So I'm just going to cut 6 more of those wedges, and then the other piece of plywood that's going to go across the other half, because the RV's about 8 feet wide and those panels are 4 foot wide. So got to cut 2 of them. So that's all I'm going to do, just cut 6 more wedges and then set the plywood on top and screw everything down. Day 2 of our floor upgrade in our toy hauler. I ran out of light yesterday, got off to kind of a late start, so just going to kind of finish up with the wedges and the plywood on top of the wedges just to flatten it out back there. That's probably all I'll do today. Tomorrow Jackie's off, so she'll be able to assist me with moving some of the stuff out of here so we can lay the subfloor down and then lay the vinyl planks down and hopefully be mostly done with it tomorrow. So let's get started. So I think I have this middle brace where I want it. Like I said, each board is 4 foot long and the camper's 8 foot wide. So just butted the board up against the wall and then split the difference. So at least I know where this middle board's going to go. Split the difference for this brace, because obviously I'm going to have to secure each board to this brace. So I just put it in the middle. I mean, no like real specific measuring or anything, but it'll work. So I just drilled 2 holes on this side of the brace and then 1 on the other side of the brace that I'll run some screws into the floor. Hopefully that'll be enough. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, so I'm just going to do that and then measure and space the rest of the wedges as evenly as I can. There's nothing underneath this floor other than a couple metal braces, so if I run into where I can't screw into the floor or whatever, I'll just move the wedge a little bit out from over top of the brace that runs underneath. So other than that, that's all I'm doing today, and then I'll screw obviously the plywood onto the wedges. So here we go. Here's what I have so far. Luckily didn't hit any of those braces that were underneath. The only thing that I had, I tried to space them as even as possible, but of course the lighting's terrible. But you can see that our toy hauler has little tie downs right here on each side, so I just spaced that wedge and that wedge a foot apart, and then the other ones are 11 inches. So, I mean, it's about as close as I could get it. It's not perfect, but there's a better shot at one of those tie downs. So, I mean, overall, I mean, the wedges feel pretty sturdy, so I think it'll be all right. So here it is. It's definitely not perfect. These plywood boards are, as you can see, this one, a little bit too thin, but that's why I hate using a circular saw to make like a long cut like that. But, I mean, it's sturdy. I think it will work just fine. And it's all going to be covered up, so yeah, it doesn't look pretty right now, but it'll do just fine underneath everything.
Today is the day!
We are finally putting our floor back here, the vinyl tile floor in our toy hauler.
Yes, so we got some really cool, what are they called?
Dry core
Yes.
boards, which I showed previously.
And so we're going to lay all of that down, and then we're going to lay the floors down. The kids are out playing with another kid, so we're going to take advantage of doing this right now.
And we got everything moved out and either outside for now. We have the washer in the front, so got everything vacuumed up.
The washer's in our kitchen.
Yep.
Where it should be.
Yeah.
Obviously. So.
Let's do it.
Yay!
There we go.
So right now we're trying to figure out kind of the puzzle of how to put this together, because some of these boards here got damaged in shipping, and so we're trying to find a way that we can make the ones that have these busted up edges be on the sides so that they're not part of what we're trying to tongue and groove together.
Like on the perimeter.
Exactly. So we're just kind of trying to find ones that are like this and make sure those are the edges that end up on the edges.
Like putting a puzzle together.
Yes.
Alright guys, we got the first row laid, as you can see. So our plan now is to like stagger the pieces, kind of like putting tile down or whatever. So we're going to cut this row, the first piece we're going to cut in half. That way it's a little stronger with the, instead of having one joint all the way down, they'll be staggered, so it'll be obviously sturdier, bouncing down the road and stuff. So that's our plan.
We are making mistakes so you don't have to. So as we're finishing the last section of laying this board, we realized that when we come out here and try to open our doors up, we can't do it. We made our floor too long. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now that we have, so here's the infamous wedges, right? We realized, and I can show you over here, that when we try to actually swing this door open, it was hitting. So we tried to just make this janky hole.
Which looks terrible.
Which looks horrible.
I just can't do it. No way.
And so now we've decided we're just going to take all of these wedges up and cut this difference out so that it'll be able to swing these doors open when we have our deck open.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
So yeah, when I originally measured, I was accounting for being able to put the windows up and down. I didn't even think about how this door
Would
comes
swing
in at least an inch or two, I would say. So we were getting ready to put the open the doors to put the subfloor down, and we were like, so don't do what we did.
Don't
if
do
you
it.
have these doors, take that into account.
Not like us. Not like us.
So we finally got the hiccup taken care of. Instead of doing 14 inches like I had previously said, I just did 12 inches to make sure there's plenty of room for the door to open. Plus I'd like to finish it off on the open end so it looks a little better. So that should give us plenty of room to still be able to open the doors. So here is the finished product. You can see door swings in. There's still plenty of room for me to add like a board or something to the end. Came out a little better than it looks better than it did before. But so hopefully, this is what I was talking about. I'd like to put a board right here to kind of close that up, just to finish it off. I mean, you won't be able to see it unless the patio's out, obviously, but make it look a little better anyway. So let's put the rest of the subfloor down and then the floor. All right, got the subfloor in, day one. I think we're gonna have to call it a night. What do you think, babe?
Yeah, it's getting dark and cold.
Right.
And we kind of got a late start. We honestly didn't start working on this till what, 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon.
School at homeschool and whatnot.
And it's only 6 o'clock right now. So considering we had a unplanned
Little hiccup. Seems like no projects ever go as planned.
That's true.
There's always something.
But you know, we make mistakes, but it's fine. We fix them and everything works out. So it really looks nice back here though.
Yep.
I'm excited to see it with the floor down tomorrow and then start getting the new pieces we're going to get in here to really make it feel a little more cozy for the kiddos. It'll be nice. I'm excited.
Yep. All right, let's get some dinner.
Yes, I'm hungry.
All right, guys. So this is hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't run into anything like we did yesterday. Hopefully, this is the last day of our flooring project. We got the subfloor in, got everything cleared back out because we had to take everything in last night because the kids stay here and we're not going to leave all their stuff outside. But we got everything cleared out. Got the patio down, as you can see. Sorry about the lighting, it's a little bright back there. But so, fingers crossed, the floor will be done today. Let's do it.
We picked these floors because they're waterproof and they're also pet friendly. So everything that we were kind of looking for back here as a space where our kids are going to sleep and play, our animals are going to sleep and play. We wanted something that would be really rigid and durable for all of those things. We picked this because it looks similar-ish to what we have in the front and kind of matches the gray cabinetry that we already have. And since it's pet friendly, waterproof, stain resistant, we figure this is best for a high traffic area with kids and pets mostly being back here.
Alright guys, here is the issue, of course, that we are running into today. So as you can see, I just wanted to lay these down just to get an idea of how much we will have, because you're supposed to split the difference here, like the gap. You're supposed to split it between the two outside boards from what I've read. So I just wanted to kind of lay it out, get a better idea of what we're working with. The only problem is, so obviously this split in half is like, when I measured it's like 1.5 inches. So the outside board would have to be like 1.5 inches. So I'm thinking I might have to, we have some scrap pieces that I might have to cut like little slivers and try to fit them into the grooves, like try to use the female end, obviously try to squeeze it down in there so we have support on the edges. So yeah, I don't know, let's give it a whirl. Alright, so here's what I have so far. Like I said, I cut this little sliver of a piece so I can slide in here, which I think is going to end up working. Slide it in there as far as I can, and then just repeat, because there's no support for 1/2 inch of a piece on the edges, so I think that'll work.
Love, what are you doing out here?
Oh, I need to rip some of these planks. So of course, we need 1.5 inches off, well, only 1.5 inches off of the outside boards. Is how much we need. So.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Oh well, it's going to be the most time consuming part, but after this, hopefully,
To get the couch.
pretty quick.
Hopefully.
Now that we have somewhat of an idea what the heck we're doing, and not really, we're going to pretend like we do though.
Yeah.
And we found out that RV walls are far from square. Maybe we'll show you the process now of a little hyperlapse.
We still have no idea.
Yeah, we still have
We're
no clue what we're
trying to
doing.
figure it out, and you'll probably watch our adult Legos crumble.
Yep, and be like, what are these two doing?
No
but
clue.
entertaining, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Let's go. Alright, it's all done. Finally.
What do you guys think?
It looks pretty good. You like it?
Yay!
Me too.
Woohoo!
Now we get to have our bedroom back
Yep, and we can get some
instead of.
furniture too, huh?
But this one is too much.
What? You're crazy. Alright. I think that's a wrap for the floor video.
Thank goodness, look at this stuff.
Finally,
She's a good.
now that it's dark out, as you can see.
Well,
She's a good.
Alright,
all done.
till next time.
All right, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Camera.
So,
You're not looking at the camera.
right.
Don't say so.
Now that we have somewhat of an idea what the heck we're doing, and now, not really. You ready? How are we gonna start? First, should have figured that out before I started. Just cut. Ghost. Yep. Is that your ball? That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're going to buy your everything. We'll go to baby juice. And this. Okay. Then you take this board and put it over here.